You're listening to Bedroom Beethovens, where notable music makers break down stories accompanied by songs and melodies documenting growth through their 10,000-hour journey. And me? Well, my name is Cello, your host.
It's the Bedroom Beethoven Podcast.
Whoa, you just blew my mind because nobody talks about that shit.
Thank you for this. I was looking forward to this chat, man. I love your interviews.
I thank you for what you're doing. It's excellent, and people can continue to learn the stories of these bedroom Beethovens.
How did you find out about this? Oh my God.
Having something like this to shed light on us is amazing. We really need this documentation. So people like you are definitely needed.
From the 5-7 Collective, welcome to episode 53 of the podcast. My guests this week are Deep and Ben, known collectively as the... And some of the acts they've produced for include...
artists like Homeboy Sandman, Sea Raised Walls, Vast Air, P-Soul the Earth Tone King, Fresh Daily, Liquid, Von P, just to name a few.
You grind and you eat. Fuck all of that lavishness. The life you imagining really isn't happening. It's faker than a mannequin. You ain't even talented. The story that you tell about your life isn't accurate. Feeling all inadequate. Now it got you panicking. Stressing on the mic like Jason getting compassionate. You can't even hack it, kid. Feeling like a sack of shit. So just walk away, leave it as it is.
We sit down for a lengthy conversation on fatherhood, pre-gentrified New York theology, and what lies ahead for them as a duo. BedroomBeethovens.com is the website. There are just so many goodies there, including past episodes, videos, and more, as well as patreon.com/BedroomBeethovens, where you can make this struggling artist who brings you new episodes every week to struggle no longer. It's where you can give a buck or two to the show, and there are some fun treats in it for you. And of course, catch me on Instagram at Bedroom Beethovens and YouTube. And you can find me on Twitter at Bedroom Beat Pod. That's Bedroom BEETPOD. Boom. Let's get into the episode. Well, I mean, I don't like to promote anyone being unhealthy, but I was very disappointed to learn that the two Hungry Brothers weren't completely obese music producers.
Well, hunger, you don't need to be hungry. You don't need to be fat to be hungry, but...
I get it. But for some reason, my mind, when I hear someone who's making beats surrounding food and you guys named yourself Hungry, I just thought, these guys are going all in. But you guys are very fit.
No, well, we're getting there. I'm not going to say we're there. We started off, as we say in Spanish, hinchado, which means swollen. As far as I had celiac and I didn't know it for so many years, and eating bread and stuff, I always had that swollen look. And once I found out, I was like, bro, let's reel it in. And then the other thing that got us into just doing the whole fit thing was, I was boys with PH. We went on the road to Scribble Jam, and we just knew him. And he's 4 years older than we are. And just, it really struck us that he didn't make it to 40. And, I saw, eating habits on Instagram. I saw other rappers, I see other, rappers that might have passed away that weren't treating themselves so well. And I'm like, bro, this is all we got. This body this vessel that we're inhabiting. So
celiac though, that gluten-free shit isn't just a myth. It's real.
Yeah, it's definitely real. And the funny thing about it, like I said, I didn't know I had it. My mom was telling me, hey, you got to go to my doctor. Because moms, right? Moms are like, you got to do what they say. What they say is the best. She's like, my doctor's the best, blah, blah, blah. And then my job ended up changing insurances, and I was able to go to her doctor. So this guy checked for everything. minus the back end because I wasn't that age yet. You have celiac, and it was cool about it. He told me after I went to Amsterdam. So I went to Amsterdam. There's so much bread and bake. They have all these wonderful bakeries in the supermarket. So I enjoyed myself in Amsterdam and had space cakes and everything. And I came back and it's like, you have celiac. You shouldn't be eating. And okay.
And that's everything,
Bro, New York City, pizza, bagels.
But I like Shake Shack. You know what's good? Bear Burger is good, yo.
Oh my gosh.
That's like a New York. It's like a New York, New Jersey restaurant type thing. Bear Burger. They sell like organic meats and stuff like that. Different types of meats and stuff. What about Five Guys, yo? Really? Compared to Shake Shack?
Five Guys is expensive.
But when I go to Philly, I can't have Philly cheesesteaks. But I've learned to, like make myself hate it. Like, I know what I felt like before, and I know what I feel like now. So I'm good. Like I'm not. I do miss pizza though. I do miss pizza.
Well, you know how they have those people that are so fat they can't leave their bedrooms. I thought it would be dope if y'all were so fat that you were in the studio unable to leave, and then like imagine there's cheeseburger wrappers in there and it smells like shit and you're farting and you haven't showered in 8 days, but you're so dope that the artists still have to go down there because your beats are so fire. It'd be like a really bad Key and Peele skit.
Expose them to my disorder. The whole hungry thing came because whenever we go digging, we would go digging, and whenever we traveled, we would go dig, and then after you dig, it's like going to a museum. You ever go to a museum? It don't matter if you ate before you went to a museum. You go to the museum for like 10 minutes and you leave and you're hungry. Same thing with digging. It's archaeology, and it's just I guess all the dust, the bad air, you just leave feeling hungry all the time. Our style, our sample style is based on digging, and thus hunger, Two Hungry Bros. And then we just on trademark or just sensory wise of eating and having sex are the only two things that you use all five senses for. So people always related to Two Hungry Bros when it came to like, oh wow, that's a funny name. We want those guys to be fat, which I mean, I still have pretty decent body fat percentage. I'm trying to lose it, but it's not. I'm not like skinny though.
Yeah, well, I mean, Piso said he lost weight, and Fat.
Yeah, Piso lost weight too. Yeah,
Fat Joe lost weight, and then Timbaland lost weight. But then you see like Lizzo, and you're like, all right, she's not trying to be Megan Thee Stallion. She's that weight, and she's successful. But people,
women though, I like. I've seen. I just started on some like dad stuff. Like what are all these memes with this woman? Who is this? And then you follow a link, and then it goes, it's Lizzo on Instagram, and then she just did the Rolling Stones magazine, and I like those pictures.
I ain't mad at her, but whenever someone big loses weight, they're always saying
they're a quitter.
Oh,
they're quitters.
Yeah. Or I'm way more focused now, but then it's just like, well, Manny Fresh is a legend. He's got a big old belly, and Lizzo's successful. Maybe
Biz Markie lost a lot of weight.
Well, I mean, do you remember Celebrity Fit Club? How many damn rappers were on that? Biz Markie was on there. Young MC, Bone Crusher, Bobby Brown, Warren G, The Brat, Bizarre.
I mean, like I said, I'm never gonna knock anybody for trying to improve themselves. And then also, losing fat is not. We shouldn't think of it as like that makes you a bad person. But if you lose fat because you're trying to stay alive, that's fine. But some people are strong and healthy at their current density. You know what I'm saying? Like sumo wrestlers, for instance, or certain wrestlers, or they also say in bodybuilding. Let's say you want to make it to a certain threshold in your bench, you do have to gain certain weight to get there.
I saw a documentary saying like a lot of those bodybuilders are taking whey protein. It's unnecessary because your body only needs 2% protein daily
per pound. It's like 2%.
Yeah,
protein.
Yeah, they're saying like if you I'm gonna butcher this, but it's just like, if you have a hard boiled egg and like a small piece of chicken, that's all you need. If you're putting protein in your shakes and all that, you're overkilling it. It was the industry selling you a lie, saying that you needed more.
Oh, the industry is bad. The industry that industry is really bad. Like they sell you. Okay, so for instance, there's a cat named Jim Stepani, right? And he has supplement industry. He has a supplement industry, and he'll sell you protein, right? And then he'll sell you these things called BCAAs, and BCAAs are branched chain aminos. Branched chain aminos are already in all protein. So you, in the end of the day, you're just gonna urinate it out. They feed on your insecurity like magic fat burning pills. You just have to be hypo. It's called hypocaloric. You just try to eat under 2,000 calories, and that doesn't mean like I use a calorie counter now, and that's my thing. Like it helps you kind of tracks what calories you burn due to activity, and it helps me like stay alert. Just stay conscious of what I'm intaking, and I think it's pretty fun. That's been the most fun. I tried the whole keto thing with my wife before, and that was interesting. I did that 2 years ago, and that's when I started losing like significant weight, and it was cool. But it just wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a sustainable thing.
Me and my wife tried the keto, but the sugar cravings were so terrible that
I love breakfast cereal. What's your crutch as far as sugar? What brings you back to sugar?
Sweets, like the worst kind.
What kind of, like, are you a pie guy, a cookie guy, a cake guy?
Oh my gosh! I mean, I don't think I can narrow it down.
Really?
Like we were.
I think there are cake people and pie people and cookie people. There's three people in the world.
Well, like I can get pie from like a restaurant, but there's no restaurants that sell cake. So the only time I'm going to get a cake is if I go to like a Walmart, like a big grocery store.
Wait, where are you again?
I'm in Texas.
Texas.
So I'm all the way down south. So we're big on like soul food and stuff like that. There's not too many cakes unless someone's going to make it from scratch.
Oh, because they do that in diners over here. There's always cakes on, especially where Ben's at in Jersey City. There's a lot of diners, and they always have cakes on display. And I'm like, who wants? Well, for me, since I have celiac, I'm like, I don't want to eat that. I'm turned off of that. But if you show me like a gluten-free cookie or a gluten-free pie, which we have, which I just found, I haven't had blueberry pie in 4 years, and I haven't had apple pie in 4 years. And there's a spot that just opened up. God bless all the hipsters for coming here, and now I get to I don't have to eat all the hood food.
Well, tell me about the Lower East Side pre-gentrified versus now, and how that's kind of shaped you as an individual.
I mean, it was the cultural. It was like the culture and the crack era, like hip hop. We had Lee, I lived in LaGuardia Projects with my grandmother. Across the street from the window, I could see that legendary Lee piece with the lion. Leo the Lion, if you're into hip hop and graffiti culture, that was just a legend. I grew up around that, and then Lee also had the biker piece. Lee was the graph writer from Wild Style. Also, my dad, he would bounce house parties. When people got out of hand, he would like do the Vulcan grip on them. But he would take me to some of those parties. Like he was that cocky, and he's I'm gonna take my son so he could come and listen to music and see how tough I am. And that affected me because I saw how eclectic the DJs were, and they would do a lot of open format. Before it was called open format, we were just playing street music. And then, I mean, even Grandmaster Flash was technically the open format DJ, because what were they doing? Just taking breaks from different genres of music and making it sound like hip hop, and that always helped. And then so also my dad's record collection that influenced me, because he got samples, and so he would hear a rap song that I liked and was like, nah, this came from this. So we had this, and I would go, like, also Ben and I would go to different parties too where my dad was bouncing. It was called the St. Mary's Halloween Party, and we would listen to the DJs as well, and it was either freestyle, hip hop, or house music, and Hot 97 back in the day would play that. All those kinds of, and Hot 97 was mostly house until probably like maybe 91, 92, and same thing for 98.7 Kiss FM. Red Alert was playing a lot of. I heard Nautilus the first time, and I think that Billy Joel the one that Cool G Rap sampled.
Time to create, 'cause there's money to make. To be a billionaire takes hard work for years. Some nights I shed a tears while I set a prayer. Been through hard times, even worked part-time in a key food store.
We had mostly Puerto Ricans. We were right next to Chinatown. The Hasidic Jews were on Grand Street. So yeah, we had everybody, you know, what we used to call morenos, you know, African Americans living with us side by side, and then that was just the thing. And then eventually there's like in the projects right now, if you go to the projects, it's a lot of Asian people moving in, a lot of Chinese people, and we're getting the boot. I don't know what that's about, but
back then people were actually practicing Santeria.
People always practicing Santeria, bro. And then under the guise of Catholicism, you know what I'm saying?
You and Ben went to church too?
Yeah. That's where we met. It was funny. That was one of those. We had one of those stepbrothers moments. Like, you go to St. Mary? Yeah. Your mom works at St. Mary's? Yeah. You do this? Yeah. I think we just became best friends.
So y'all acting a fool in class. You're going to church together. I bet adults are sick of you guys, probably trying to separate you guys at every turn.
I just saw that Seinfeld episode with the Seinfeld joke. He's like, well, when we were kids, and we Ben and I always used to fool around in class, and we were always separated. Actually, it got really bad, and they did separate us. So we were in the same class, first grade, second grade, then third grade. They opted to separate us. And they brought us back together again in fourth grade and fifth grade. And then in sixth grade, I went away to like a Jesuit school, and I was in Jesuit education from there on out.
This is an important lesson, though, because, you know, stop separating kids that click together, because they may grow up and become something special.
Yeah. And you know what? I always ask my wife, you know, I always, babe, you have any best friends like that? And she's like, do you notice that women don't tend to have friends like that? Like that they grew up with from the get. It's interesting.
No, my wife has made enemies with all of her long best friends from the past.
Like somebody like, oh, well, and I like it. I like it when the new girls come along. It's like, oh yeah, you know, this is my new friend. We're gonna be hanging out. We're going, oh yeah, babe, go out with her. Go. She's like, can I go out tonight? Yeah, of course, yo. Because I know we're not gonna hear about her in like 4 months.
Same way. And I'm at the age where I'm like, no new friends. So any new people are gonna come over, it's got to be from your end.
Exactly. Oh, there's that too. Oh, we don't have people come over our house, man. My wife don't like people coming over.
I know we got this big old dining table for entertaining. I'm like, we're not entertaining. Get out of here.
Nah, I got mail on the table, bro.
Yeah. That's what we use it for. I was wondering, so do you go to church now? Do you take your family, or that was just kind of something that kind of tapered off?
Well, it tapered off, especially just, you know, Ben and I went to Catholic church, and Ben still goes to church. Me, I had a whole like Jesuit education, and even so, check it. I had a Jesuit education. I've been taking theology forever, like.
That's why I asked, because the intersection of music and theology starts at church.
Right. And so in 7th grade, so I went to Georgetown Prep in Maryland, and in 8th grade, I went to like the orientation, and the theology teacher, rest in peace, Robert Cunniff, he was a former friar. He says, while I'm in class, he's like, why is Adam always depicted with a belly button? And I was like, holy shit. I was like, holy sweat. He's the first man. Why would he have a belly button? And then that was just opened up all the other questions. And then, I mean, even the priests at that time they would tell me like, yo, there's people who need this, and then there's people who don't. Oh, and one of the priests that did mentor me ended up having a case. I was like, no.
Oh my God, that's bad PR.
Yeah, it's bad PR. And then I just started noticing a lot of like sus behaviors in them, and I'm like, you know what, man, I don't want to leave my son with any of these dudes.
Music in church, though, serves not only as an offering of worship to God, but also as a teaching tool to help those listening understand the theology of the church, just as artwork in church should also express beauty and truth. But back in the day, people put up stained glass windows in their church around 1300, depicting a group of children and a certain fellow Supposedly, this fellow played the flute when they arrived in a new town to attract kids to their cause. They led children away from their homes and families, and they never returned. Of course, they being children, the modern day Pied Piper being R. Kelly. So being a theology enthusiast, especially because there's a track on Theology 2 called Children's Crusade, whenever he said that in songs, did your spidey sense go off like years and years and years ago? Because
the whole R. Kelly. Yo, I never listened to R. Kelly like that.
But you knew he called himself the Pied Piper. And if we're talking about theology, we knew what the Pied Piper was.
You know what, man? Do you know Peter Pan?
How he took Wendy over to the other side. It's the same thing.
Pan was a satyr. Pan was also a rapist as well. He took Orpheus's wife, whatever, and she went to the underworld. So then they always have Peter Pan. Do you notice they always do Peter Pan movies? Even though they're not successful, like every year or two, there's always a Peter Pan movie. And I've made this whole bridge between Pan, the Pied Piper, Peter Pan, Saturn, Satyrs, and Baphomet. And I'm like, wow. I mean, not that I'm like into the whole, making everything. I don't like demonizing everything, but there is something a little weird when Hollywood is always putting, this horned individual who takes kids away on the silver screen repeatedly. And so then you have, you got R. Kelly doing that. Yeah, there are correlations and whatever. There's a machine driving the entertainment industry, but anything with, Pied Piper or taking kids away, Peter Piper, Pan, because if you look at Peter Pan's hat, it's always covering the direction of the horns in which the satyrs had their horn, the goat horn that went up and around. When you enter a church, that first part that you come across is called the Mons Veneris. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Educate me, please.
So there's an arch when you walk through a church. The first arch that you walk through is called the Mons Veneris. That's called the Mound of Venus. The top part of it's like the top of a woman's vagina.
Wow, didn't know that.
Yeah. So you're kind of like walking into Mary. So you walk into St. Mary's Church. You pass through. There's a lot of like also like divine feminine. Like Catholics do have a reverence for the Virgin Mary, and I think it's like misplaced. Yeah, because there's a bunch of guys running around, in black suits and teaching people when you can't have a female this, but they have some sort of reverence for like divine feminine energy.
So is 95% that go there ignorant to those facts unless you dig deeper and really find the meaning, or that's like common knowledge? Because I mean, I used to eat at a pizza place when I was a kid called Peter Piper Pizza, and I didn't know that it was about a horny goat luring little girls to the other side. Why would you name your pizza place after that? Why would Disney make a Robin Williams movie out of shit like that? It just doesn't make sense to me once you figure out the truth.
And it's not just Robin Williams. Like Wolverine. This guy did a Hook movie. What's his name? Who's the guy that played Wolverine?
Oh, Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. Yeah, wasn't he Hook recently? I guess we got IMDb it, but he just played the last one had Hugh Jackman in the last Peter Pan-ish movie, and then you have Pan's Labyrinth. Pan's Labyrinth is, I mean, pretty close to what I think is like taking the veil away from the whole mythology, because then it was so close to Hellboy in that you had the fairies. I mean, fairies are not nice. You know what I'm saying? In whatchamacallit, European lore, you don't mess with fairies. You don't ask fairies for anything. If you go to Iceland, there's people. There's the rock people who come out. You can't they coexist in like in like an invincible dimension, and then they come out whenever they want, but you can't see them unless they want to be seen, and you cannot ask them for anything because you know you get something bad in return. Or it's like a jinn to Islam. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know what a djinn is thanks to The
Yeah,
Witcher, because I'm
right.
very
Oh,
uncultured and I get my lore from Netflix movies.
Netflix. Yo, I watched the first episode of The Witcher. So Piso watched The Witcher, Ben watched The Witcher, and Piso's wife. This is my little circle of friends. Uh, and they watched The Witcher, and they were like, it's good, blah blah blah. And I was like, I couldn't get past the accents in the beginning. And then
I think it's equivalent to like a music producer who can't listen to music because he always has to deconstruct it in his head. When you know too much, you can't. You stop enjoying things.
Yeah. And then I thought the girl the woman who he slept with in the beginning who passed away, I'm like, man, she's a werewolf. And then they're like, no, she's not. I'm like, yeah, but she has everything werewolfy about her. She's got a whole bunch of guys with her. She was born under this moon thing. I'm trying to break things down. And then I'm like, wait, this is a video game thing? There's no meaning to this. I am not gonna watch it. That's my thing about Netflix. I can't or anything. I'm only driven to things that have some kind of otherness. Like, are you gonna reveal something to me, or are you gonna give me some sort of insight? But if it's a video game movie, like, actually, you know what? Silent Hill was a pretty ill video game movie.
I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less from someone who wrote their high school thesis on Clockwork Orange. You know what I mean?
Jesus Christmas. You dug in depth, yeah, and I wrote that to DJ Shadow's
introducing, right? Yeah.
Breakdown, baby.
Yeah, man.
Now, well, theology differs from a Puerto Rican perspective, right?
For the word fish, since we're talking about theology, fish is pescado is the technical word for fish. The Spaniards say pescado because they're Castilian and they have to have that lisp when they speak, but we say pecado. So like we kind of put that we put this swag in all of our words, and we put like a ow at the end of our words, bacalao, but then they say bacalado.
You're what we call a Puerto Rock, right?
Yeah, I am a New Yorican, a Puerto Rock. Yep, that's what I am.
Where we take where you lived, your ethnicity, who you are as a person, a friend, a son, a father, a husband, and you sit down to do a beat tape that encapsulates all that, defining your experiences and pre-gentrified Lower East Side. Like, how do you even start a project like that where each beat is dedicated to elements which contributed to your sound of past projects? It's a pretty lofty undertaking.
I'm always like making beats, like just and I'm always driven to making beats. It's not like something I do as a hobby. I'm driven to it. Like if I don't do it for a while, I start getting antsy. Eighth One told me in 2009. He said, Yo, Deep, you don't give me blank slate beats. Like there's always something there's always something there, and I gotta follow it. And sometimes I don't like that. Like, I can't go my own way with it. And then I was like, and at the time I was like, man, fuck you in my head. But now when I think about it, I say, that's probably, and then my mentor, Fred Ones from TME Studios, he always used to tell me, MCs need producers and producers don't need MCs. And that was like the motto. And just coming up on like the whole DJ Shadow thing, I said that like eighth one's comment to me, I was like, yeah, you know what? I am gonna just be making instrumental albums because if I must be putting something in there that personalizes it, and our personalities, our memories, our experiences, blah blah blah, funneled into art. You know what I mean?
But you didn't start concentrating on the beat tape scene until 5 years later.
Ben and I both had our first sons in 2011. Oh, 2010 is when No Room for Dessert. But I remember working on it in 2009. That's why I always say 2009. But And then we did an album with this cat, I Am Many, called Obese, and it just didn't go anywhere. We did and then I did an album with Liquidity, and my boy K Gaines. I did an album. We Ben and I did an album called Rumspringer, and like the landscape after like having a child and coming back into it changed. Like I noticed people like you had to rhyme a certain way or to get certain kind of, and then the blogs weren't hitting like it used to be. I said, man, I'm tired of like, doing albums with rappers and having different, just, I don't know, clashing opinions and not getting along with people or having different visions. I was like, let me just do my own thing and see what happens. And so we had just finished the EP with Piso, the Feast of Legend, and that got us on the Hypnot label. And then I hit up and I was like, you know what? I'm on this label. Technically I am. I said, let me hit up Kev. And Kev said, hey, you're gonna you can put out whatever you want. I was like, oh word? Okay. And that kind of that lighted the fuel. You know what I mean? Lighted the fire. And I just ended up making a whole bunch of stuff because I wanted, and then Ben made I Moreno, which I thought was genius. We were always brainstorming about the title of his first beat tape.
We've always done that for each other. Like, even when we go back to, 10 years ago making beats in my mom's house, that's how it would be. You know what I mean? Like, yo, look at this, look a sample I found, look what I made. You know what I mean? And we would just surprise each other and we would just push each other. And it's still like that, you know what I mean? And like, it's not about outshining each other. It's more about like, damn, we keep going on. We keep hustling with this. So on the real, I'm super proud of Deep. He's a hard worker. You know what I mean. But it just pushes me to work harder. You know what I mean. So,
do you sometimes envision your child watching you and perhaps making like little mental notes on yourself, and then who knows, man?
Well, yes, to become a nerd, yes, because like usually when I get creative. It's usually when they're sleeping and it's at nighttime, and for Deep it'll be this. It's probably the same answer, you know what I'm saying? Because, our creative time is like, it's when like nobody's around or like when the kids are sleeping, or wifey is busy watching a TV show, so you can, because we're both married, so it's we gotta fit it in the schedule somehow. So, but like. Do I see them I do envision them doing some type of creative art. It doesn't have to be beat making or rapping. It could be art. It could be, dancing. My youngest son likes to dance, you know what I'm saying? My oldest son, he likes trains and he likes Japanese animation and Star Wars and stuff like that. So
I think you'll be all right, because if I talk to an investment banker and I'm like, what does your dad do? He's not going to say, oh, he was an artist. I think left brains have left brain kids,
I'll be proud of whatever they do. And like, hey, I'm going to support it. You know what I'm saying?
And like Eighth One, he hasn't like really released a lot of projects since that album. Well, I mean, maybe that was karma. Maybe, I don't know.
With No Room for Dessert, he just kind of, He walked out on that project like 3 times, and he almost didn't come to the release party. And I said, yo, you're not gonna come to the release party? It's okay. I'm still gonna have it. And mad people like, yo, we're coming, and mad people came, and he's like, yo, he just showed up. And that was just that was just a gambit I took. You know what I mean? And that's been my relationship with like rappers. Just like, oh, I got to deal with their personalities.
So there's no regrets about, I mean, depending on who you ask, I would credit you with getting Homeboy Sandman signed the Stones Throw, because Peanut Butter Wolf loved the song that you made, The Carpenter. Well, did you kind of feel like you were left out in the cold by not getting signed as well, or did everything happen for a reason?
Left out, and I mean, no, like
I mean, that was definitely the dream, and San is our boy, so for him to get on, it was like, wow, you know what I'm saying? To get on Stone's Throw, it was like, wow. So, but like, that that moment didn't define our career. You know, the Carpenter is just like something that broke ground for us, and but it's something that the Two Hungry Bros sound does for all artists, you know, and you can the list of people that I tell you they've always all said you will all say this is that our sound is like no other. You know what I mean? So the Carpenter is just a song that broke through, and we have plenty of songs like that. You know what I mean? That we've produced for artists. You know what I mean? So, and funny story is 7 years ago I met Wolf, and it was after a radio show, and he went through my record bag. He treated me and San to pizza. It was just that. It was just hanging with the homies. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything. No conversation ever came from it. You know what I mean? And it was just dope to be on Stone's Throw. But that's just a stepping stone in the Two Hungry Bros career, and we've done plenty. So I mean, to be on Stone's Throw would be hella dope. But like, you know, it just never happened. So
I think that's the attitude to have. I would be that annoying guy that was like, hey, so is there any vacancy on the roster? And then they would probably just all be like, ugh, this guy. So, yeah.
I mean, because like, you know, we're also instrumental producers, you know, Deep had his first solo joint, and, you know, it, to me, is that album is groundbreaking, you know what I mean? And I feel like we flow through different lanes. So we're not just producers for artists, we're artists ourselves, you know what I'm saying?
It's like a Teen Titans Go episode when when Beast Boy gets famous in the dream for for a rap he did that Cyborg produced, and then he kicks Cyborg off, and then they get pulled out of the dream, and then Robin's like, "Aren't you mad at Beast Boy for kicking you off?" And Cyborg's like, "Nah, man, that's my boy. He did it." And that's kind of like how we are. It's like, yo, that was our dude, and then we did relegate ourselves to being these stepping stones kind of producers. That it's and I think I had another album, Jack Progresso, Random Violence, back in the day that we produced the majority of, and it created such a signature sound for him that he tried to get away from it. Fresh Daily tried to get away from Super Spectacular. A lot of people, like, whenever Liquid, we created a signature sound for her. Artists in their egos trying to move away from, like, oh man, I don't want somebody else defining me. And that's the thing about the power that producers have. You know what I'm saying?
When you were working on Liquid's album, there was a song called Faded on there that you didn't like. And similar with Faded, you pushed to get that on the record and she wasn't feeling it. So now there's this push and pull dance with the artist. But you navigated it well, you know. It's not just about making beats. I guess you're very vocal when you're overseeing a project because you have to navigate egos and opinions.
Yeah. It's not just about making beats for me because I don't like working. Look, we're gonna keep touching on this point too. I'm a dad, whatever. I'm a dad. I'm a person. I used to rap too. So and then I was like, man, I sound cheesy. I'm corny. You know, I'm too nerdy. I don't have enough flow, but I can still freestyle my ass off. And the thing is, it's like if I hear a rapper saying what I want, what I wish I would have said myself, then that's when I rock with them. So I have a lot of strong views. You know what I'm saying? I do have a lot of strong views, and I am very vocal, and I do try to direct the projects because I have a standard. You know.
I just want to take this moment to be selfish and ask you to release the trilogy of Theology on vinyl. If you put that thing in a box set or something, man, that would be so dope.
Theology, the whole man, that would be nice if somebody would put it out. You know, so Loretta Records is who picked that up. Shout out to Observe.
I'm gonna write my congressman on that, man. I just think because it just flows so well, man. I was listening to it.
You think it's a complete project? Like I think so too.
I don't know if people are just checking out part 1 and then part 3 and then like 2 months later check out part 2. But if you just sit down and listen to it, it's definitely a cohesive project. It tells a story.
From part 2 to part 3, my MPC kind of got jacked up, and my boy DJ I Truth, he helped fix it. he cleaned it out, right? So DJ iTruth, he just put out a project on Icy Palms Alpha Beats, but for kids, which is very dope. But he took my MPC, cleaned it up. So I took it to him. I'm like, yo, it's messed up. It's not doing anything. I turned it on. He's like, so let's turn it on and see what's wrong with it. I turned it on and it started working. I was like, oh, you kidding me? I said, you know what? Just keep it here, tune, clean it up, whatever. I take it back home, right? He's like, yo, I just moved the memory chip over and I cleaned everything inside. You should be good. I turned it on and it went from 27 minutes of memory to a minute and 27 seconds of memory. And I said, bro, what'd you do? And he's like, yo, you could bring it back here if you want. And I'll definitely put it back. And then, we'll buy some more chips and put them in. Or you can do the whole SP1200 style because sometimes less is more. And I said, you know what? I'm up for that challenge. So 3ology is me layering samples with less.
See, when you work with old machinery, it breaks down. So I struggled with that last year, and I just got one of my machines fixed by Victor the Hurler. You know who he is? So you should definitely look him up. He fixed my machine. I have an MPC 2500 he fixed. So I'm going to get ready to knock out some beats. I'm going to be featured on this 77 Rise compilation with different producers from all around, and that's a label that's based out in San Fran. Shout out to Matt Bloom.
My man Damien at I Had an Accident Records in Seattle is putting out. I also have another so he also hit me up and was like, yo man, can we do a collabo tape? I already finished it. I finished it in 2 weeks because I was like, bang, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna show this guy that my work ethic is crazy. And I'm pretty crazy. People, if you ask other rappers, what do they think about Deep Dips? Like, he's either an asshole or he's crazy. That's one of those two, and which is good. I mean, it's good to be known as, when you're an asshole, it's because you speak your mind, and then when you're crazy, it's because you're crazy. You know what I mean? So it's not a bad thing.
Boom! It's hungry season. I like it.
Yeah, it's always hunger season. It's 2020 hungry bros. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
See no like perfect vision thing. 2020 hungry bros. That should be the new thing. Oh yeah, and we're like lining up all these gigs, like DJing at Beer Wax. I'm hitting up all the new bars in my neighborhood. Just, I don't know. It's all about legacy, man. That, setting up the immortality.
And me catching you before you're too big to return my calls.
No, what are you talking about? Like I said, we've relegated ourselves to being these stepping stones to entertainment, and it's not about the ego. Like I said, with homeboy Sandman, he did his thing, and we were happy for him. I don't care. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. It's a Two Hungry Bros movement, so. We got things popping off, and we're gonna be doing a night at this spot called Beer Wax. It's a beer garden, but it has behind the bar it has this huge vinyl storage unit. It looks like a spot from Japan. So it's it's popping. So we're gonna be doing a Monday nights there, DJing from 7 to 10. So. I'm looking forward to. It's kind of like the producers poker night. Hey, go meet up with the buddies and play some records at a bar. You know what I mean? So it's really eclectic and really dope stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, maybe you'll come back, man, and whenever you got these projects out, and we'll come back and do part 2.
I will come back. I love, dude. Have I shut up yet? I love talking. So, look, somebody wants to hear me talk.
Yeah, but if I sucked, would you be like, hey, my wife's calling me, I gotta go? So.
What do you mean if you suck?
I'm not the type of guy that's going to try and seek validation. I don't know if I'm doing a good job or not. I'm just going to keep going week after week.
That's me. That's my life. That's what I'm always saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm good or not. Well, I mean, somebody wants to hear me out, so I'm gonna let them hear me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like an old man.
That's good enough for me.
You coming to play checkers with me and bingo.
Yo, shout out to Deep, Piso, Liquid. This is Ben Boogz, by the way. I don't know if we did an introduction. Ben Boogz of the Two Hungry Bros.